Hello, my name is Catherine Jostad, and this is my Week 6 presentation of an application that I'm presenting to leadership. It is Saturday, April 9th, 2022, and this is for the Systems Analysis and Design class, Mr. Brian Finley. So for the introduction, the company I selected for this class is Google. The background with Google is Google has a strong information security program within their environment. Google's information security program reviews security plans for the Google network, systems, and services. They conduct security design and implementation and level reviews. They provide ongoing consultation on security risks. They monitor for suspicious activities on networks, systems, and applications. Google drives security compliance through internal audits and develop and delivers training for employees related to security. They engage in periodic outside security assessments to test infrastructure and applications, also referred to as pen tests or penetration tests. They run vulnerability management programs to discover problem areas on Google's network and remediate known issues. Google has strict security requirements, services, and protocols. They have application systems and services security policy, which measures security requirements through the entire project lifecycle. Google enforces multi-factor authentication, or MFA, for all production environments. There are controls in place for access rights, and it is based on employee job function and role. So think of least privilege to the need to know access. They provide security training as part of all new hire orientation and also annual code of conduct certification. In this use case, I selected an application called Learning and Development. So Google's leadership determined that they wanted to have a learning and development application to encourage continuous learning in their program. So I was tasked with identifying an application to deliver a learning and development continuous learning program for the organization. It must meet all security requirements for the implementation. So it must be software as a service configuration, or SaaS, and it must be best of breed. So this means there's no internal code development required. It must provide enterprise application integration, MFA secure login, and data encryption during transmission and at rest. For the misuse case, I've identified areas that we wanted to make sure that are covered in the configuration of this application when it is in the environment. So the controls in place for the following breaches, attacks, or malicious code. So can spoofing happen? So can someone log in without authentication? Can there be tampering or falsifying of class information? Is there reputation where classes and login times stamped and verified and the courses are secure? For information disclosure, can data leave the application in an unauthorized manner? Is there a denial of service? If there are too many inaccurate login attempts in a time period, is the account locked out? And is there elevation of privilege? So can someone trying to access the environment gain more access than intended, resulting in the ability to perform unauthorized actions? So this could be for an attacker or an employee. So to help mitigate some of these concerns in security, the input forms were developed to understand how we can remediate or mitigate the risk of these security functions. So the input forms for the application, there is a secure login page. Each employee must log in with the company user ID and password. It must have a multi-factor authentication that's enabled, and the user or employee has to provide secondary authentication by using email or text. There's an application landing page, so all the forms have security embedded in these pages. For an employee, they should be able to only see the information that is displayed for themselves. No, and should list their manager, a course catalog they have access to, and the skills information area that they can update themselves. For a manager landing page, they can view their self-information and of their direct reports or employees for courses and skills. The manager also has the ability to run reports on the employees to understand where they're at in their learning profile. And then there's the course registration form. The course registration form can be used to submit courses provided by the learning application. These are time-stamped forms that are submitted through the application for enrollment and passing and being certified within this learning profile. So in the output forms, you can see that security is addressed by requiring the MFA authentication through the login process. The landing page only shows employee very specific data, and there are security methods in place to protect the data that's in transit from HR system of record to the application. The focus of this is to ensure that HR data is not intercepted or compromised from the HR system feeding into the learning system. The data only flows one way, and it is important to have the necessary security measures in place to prevent security breaches. For the learning and development application implementation, we must define the project timeline. We must also define the KPIs, the key performance indicators that will make this project successful. We must test critical security activities, and in doing so, we must test the secure connection to the HR system of record and the data transmission. We must define application security roles and privileged access. We must test these roles and their functionality, and have a rollback plan in place in the event of a security failure or data breach. We must develop a communication and training plan for this application prior to the rollout. And as we are building this application for implementation, we must document the application process. We must document this application documentation through the entire process. Maintenance. So once this has been implemented, we must determine a maintenance schedule and what is determined critical and what is determined standard. So we've got to define the maintenance schedule. So we must review the code for the updates, patches, or upgrades. So we review the security patch and updates and define them whether they're critical or standard. Critical means that it's 0-day threat, it's immediate, and it must be patched immediately. A standard patch or update can be applied during the regularly scheduled maintenance downtime of the application. Once that has been done, all documentation must be updated.